The unexpected signal. The vast expanse of space had always been a mystery to those who dared to explore it. For centuries, the Galactic Council had studied distant planets, measuring their progress and calculating their potential. Earth, a small blue planet, was just one of the many in their records. The Council believed Earth to be a young and insignificant world, still in its early stages, barely capable of making an impact on the galaxy. They watched from afar, dismissing Earth as nothing more than a primitive backwater planet. But on the 12th day of the 27th year of the galactic calendar, everything changed. A strange signal was detected, coming from deep within Earth's atmosphere. It was unlike anything the Council had ever encountered. At first, they thought it was a mistake, a glitch in their systems. But as they traced its source, they realized this signal was coming from the planet itself, Earth. The signal was a complex pattern of pulses and waves, almost as if someone, or something, was trying to communicate. The Galactic Council, who had always treated Earth with indifference, was now intrigued. They had never considered the possibility that a primitive planet could have such advanced technology. They scrambled to analyze the signal, sending their best scientists and engineers to decode its meaning. Back on Earth, the discovery of the signal didn't go unnoticed. Dr. Elena Kaur, a leading scientist at the Earth Communications Center, was the first to catch wind of the strange transmission. She had spent years studying alien communications, but she had never encountered anything like this. The signal wasn't just noise or static. It was clearly a message. But who could it be from? And why was it coming from Earth? Elena immediately assembled a team of experts to investigate. Together, they began the difficult task of analyzing the signal's complex patterns. As the team worked tirelessly, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this was something important. Something big was happening, and Earth was at the center of it all. The days passed, and the signal continued to pulse, a rhythmic beat that echoed through space. Elena's team made significant progress, but the true meaning of the signal remained elusive. It was clear, however, that it wasn't just a random transmission. There was purpose behind it. The signal was old, older than anything Earth had ever known, and its source was something that seemed to reach far beyond the planet. Then, one evening after hours of work, Elena made a breakthrough. The signal wasn't just a message, it was a map leading to something buried deep beneath Earth's surface. It was an ancient location, hidden for millennia, and it seemed to be calling to them. Elena's heart raced as she realized what this meant. This was no ordinary discovery. Earth had something beneath it, a secret that no one had known about. With trembling hands, Elena sent a message to the Galactic Council, urging them to take the signal seriously. She explained that the signal was not only from Earth but was pointing to something far more significant. She requested immediate resources to explore the area where the signal originated. At first, the Council dismissed her message as another false alarm. Earth, after all, was still seen as an insignificant player in the galactic landscape. They believed that Earth was a primitive world, incapable of possessing anything of value. But Elena's persistence paid off. After a few days, the Council reluctantly agreed to send a scout ship to Earth to investigate. The scout ship, led by a team of elite alien scientists, arrived in Earth's orbit within weeks. They were skeptical of Elena's claims, but the moment they received the signal and traced it to the hidden location, they were forced to acknowledge that something extraordinary was happening. The signal was leading them to an ancient underground structure, buried deep beneath Earth's surface. As they descended into the depths of the planet, the team was stunned by what they discovered. The structure was vast, its walls covered with symbols and writing that no one had ever seen before. It was clear that this place had been built by an advanced civilization, long before any known species had come into being. The technology inside was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever encountered. The scout team, stunned by their discovery, sent a transmission back to the Galactic Council, reporting the find. But as they did, something strange happened. The signals from Earth grew stronger, more intense, as if the planet itself was awakening. The technology buried beneath the surface began to hum with energy, and the ground trembled as if something ancient was stirring. The Council, now alarmed, sent more ships to Earth to investigate. But Alina, sensing the impending danger, warned them that Earth's hidden power should not be underestimated. She knew that humanity's history was far older and more powerful than anyone had ever imagined. The Earth they thought they knew was not the young, primitive world they had once believed it to be. It was much older, much more dangerous, and it held the oldest secret in the galaxy. The stage was set for a confrontation. The Galactic Council, still unsure of what they were facing, had underestimated the potential of Earth and its people. And soon, they would learn the hard way that Earth was not a newcomer. It was the keeper of an ancient power that could change the galaxy forever. The Galactic Council's initial reaction to the unexpected signal had been one of skepticism, but that skepticism quickly turned to curiosity as the truth began to unfold. Earth wasn't just a young, primitive planet as they had believed. It was a sleeping giant, hiding a power far older and greater than anything the galaxy had seen before. The ancient structure beneath the surface of Earth was only the beginning. What lay inside was about to change everything. Dr. Alina Kor watched from the Earth Communications Center as more scout ships arrived from the Galactic Council. Her heart pounded in her chest. Despite the growing interest from the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, there was still a part of her that feared the secrets they were uncovering. What if they weren't ready? What if the power beneath the Earth's crust was too dangerous to control? The scout teams, under Alina's guidance, carefully examined the ancient underground facility. The walls were covered in strange alien writing that no one could understand. But the technology, strange, metallic devices with glowing patterns and symbols, was far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. They found energy sources that were infinite and controlled gravitational forces in ways that were previously thought impossible. It was clear that these technologies had been hidden here for a reason. Alina and her team spent weeks decoding the language and unlocking the technology, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. They discovered that these devices could manipulate space-time itself, bending the fabric of reality to accomplish feats once thought impossible. The ancient civilization that had once inhabited Earth had achieved a level of power that far surpassed even the greatest galactic empires of today. But with these discoveries came risks. The machines in the ancient facility were not just tools, they were weapons. The technology, if activated, could reshape entire star systems. Earth's leaders knew they had to be careful. This was no ordinary weapon. It was something far more dangerous. The question wasn't just how to control it. It was whether humanity could handle such power without destroying themselves. As Alina continued to study the technology, the first signs of something unexpected began to appear. The devices, which had been dormant for millennia, were slowly coming to life. Strange energy pulses began radiating from the structure. The planet itself seemed to be reacting, as if it were waking up from a long slumber. The signals were growing stronger, more frequent. It was as if Earth itself was calling out, warning those who dared to awaken its ancient power. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council, still viewing Earth as a primitive world, sent more ships to the planet. They were eager to see this new discovery firsthand, but they had no idea what they were walking into. As they neared Earth, their ships picked up strange readings, and their sensors were overwhelmed by the intensity of the energy emanating from the planet. The Council, always cautious when dealing with unfamiliar technology, ordered an immediate investigation. They wanted to understand what had been hidden beneath Earth for so long. But when they arrived, the vast, silent machinery underground responded in ways they hadn't anticipated. The technology was not just passive. It was intelligent, almost sentient. The ancient machines began to hum, sending waves of energy across the planet's surface. The scout ships were caught off guard as the energy field surrounding Earth intensified. They were now beginning to feel the effects of the very technology they had come to investigate. The Galactic Council's fleet, once confident and secure in their superiority, found themselves in a situation they couldn't control. The ships began to lose power, their systems malfunctioning as the technology buried deep within Earth activated. The Council's fleet was forced to retreat, scrambling to regain control of their ships. They couldn't understand what was happening, but one thing was clear. They had underestimated the power of Earth. Back on Earth, Alina's team was still working around the clock to unlock the mysteries of the ancient machines. As they uncovered more secrets, they realized that these devices could do more than just manipulate energy and gravity. They could create powerful weapons, far more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The first test of the weapon was an accident. As Alina attempted to power up one of the devices, an unintentional surge of energy blasted outward, sending shockwaves through the atmosphere. The pulse was so powerful that it rippled through the nearby star systems, causing alarms to go off across the galaxy. Ships in orbit experienced temporary malfunctions, and sensors across the galaxy picked up the unprecedented burst of energy. The shockwave didn't just disrupt nearby systems, it was a warning. Earth had tapped into a power that could level entire fleets, and they had only just begun to understand its true potential. The Galactic Council, still reeling from the effects of the signal's activation, began to take the situation more seriously. They realized that Earth was no longer just a weak, young planet. It was a sleeping giant, and they had awakened it. The question now was whether the galaxy could coexist with a power like Earth's, or whether it would have to be destroyed before it could grow too strong. Alina and her team knew that the fate of the galaxy was now in their hands. They had uncovered a power older than the stars themselves, and humanity had the key to control it. But the Council's reaction would not be so easy. They would not allow a mere planet to wield such immense power without a fight. Earth had to prepare for what was coming next, and the question was no longer whether they would succeed, but how long they could keep their secret before the galaxy came for them. As Earth's leaders gathered to discuss their next move, the full weight of their discovery began to sink in. They weren't just protecting their planet anymore. They were standing on the brink of a new age, one that would change the course of history forever. The shockwave caused by Earth's unexpected activation of its ancient power reverberated across the galaxy, and the Galactic Council was quick to respond. They had no idea how far Earth's hidden power stretched, but one thing was certain: they could not allow such a dangerous force to fall into the hands of a single planet, especially one they had underestimated. The Council was a vast coalition of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, each with their own interests, but they all shared one common belief: power must be controlled, especially when it had the potential to disrupt the entire balance of the galaxy. Earth's sudden emergence as a potential superpower was something they couldn't ignore. The first response came in the form of a fleet of warships, dispatched to Earth under the command of the Council's most seasoned generals. Their orders were clear: assess the threat and neutralize it if necessary. The fleet, armed with cutting-edge weaponry and shielded with technology far beyond Earth's capabilities, made its way toward the blue planet. Back on Earth, Dr. Alina Kaur and her team were unaware of the danger approaching them. Their discovery of the ancient technology had consumed them entirely. They had only just begun to scratch the surface of the weapons hidden beneath their feet, and yet they were already feeling the weight of the decisions they had made. Alina had seen the signs of something bigger brewing. The strange energy pulses from the ancient machines had been growing stronger each day. It wasn't just a passive response. It felt like the planet itself was reacting to something, preparing for something. She had spoken to the leaders of Earth about her concerns, but they were too focused on the opportunities this technology offered to see the storm approaching. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Earth Communication Center. A massive fleet was approaching. Alina's heart skipped a beat. She recognized the signature of the ships. Those were the Council's ships, the very same ones that had once dismissed Earth as a primitive world. As the fleet drew closer, the Council's ships began broadcasting a message to Earth. The transmission was direct, and the tone was stern. This is a message from the Galactic Council. You are in possession of dangerous technology that is beyond your control. We demand immediate access to the site of the discovery. Failure to comply will result in the neutralization of this threat." Alina's hands shook as she read the message. The Council's demands were clear, and the threat they posed was very real. But she couldn't let them take control of Earth's newfound power. The technology was humanity's birthright, and they had to protect it. She turned to her team, her eyes filled with determination. "We have to keep them out. We can't let the Council take what's ours." As the Council's fleet descended toward Earth's orbit, Alina and her team began preparing for the worst. The ancient machines, still dormant, had begun to hum louder, their energy levels spiking in response to the approaching ships. Earth was ready to defend itself, but was humanity prepared to wield the power it had just uncovered? The Council's fleet wasn't just large, it was advanced beyond anything Earth could hope to defend against. Their ships were equipped with shield systems that could block all but the most powerful of attacks. The energy pulses from Earth's ancient machines, though powerful, weren't enough to stop the fleet. But there was something about the way the machines were reacting to the Council's arrival that felt different. Suddenly, the ground beneath Alina's feet shook. A low rumble filled the air, and the sky above the communications center flickered with strange energy. Alina rushed to the nearest monitor, her breath catching in her throat as she saw the fleet's approach. But it wasn't just the fleet that was causing the disturbance. It was the ancient machines beneath the surface. They were activating, drawing energy from the planet itself. Without warning, a massive energy surge erupted from Earth's core. It blasted outward, directly into space. The shockwave hit the Council's fleet before they could react. Their shields absorbed the initial pulse, but the sheer force of the wave sent their ships tumbling. Some of the smaller vessels were knocked off course, while the larger ships struggled to maintain control. The force was enough to send the entire fleet into a momentary retreat. The Council's command ship, the largest of the fleet, was the first to regain control. The captain, a veteran of many galactic skirmishes, immediately issued new orders. "Return to Earth. Do not underestimate the power of this planet. We will take control, no matter the cost." But even as they regrouped, the reality of the situation was sinking in. Earth wasn't just some backwater planet. It had power, real power. And the Council's failure to neutralize it was a clear message. The ancient technology was something they had never anticipated. The captain of the Council's fleet knew that this was no longer just a diplomatic mission. It was a battle for the very future of the galaxy. Earth had something the Council couldn't allow to exist unchecked. The war was now inevitable. As Earth's leaders gathered, Alina stood at the forefront of the defense effort. She knew that the fate of her planet, and possibly the galaxy, rested on their shoulders. They couldn't afford to lose this fight. Earth's ancient power had been awakened, and humanity was ready to stand its ground. But in the distance, the Council's fleet was regrouping. The battle was far from over. Earth had thrown the first punch. But the Council would not back down. They would come again, and this time they would bring everything they had to bear on Earth's hidden power. Alina could feel the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about proving that humanity was no longer a small, insignificant player in the galaxy. They had the oldest secret, the greatest power, and they would not give it up without a fight. The Earth stood on the brink of a war unlike any it had ever seen before. The Galactic Council had retreated, but the massive ships still hovered at the edge of Earth's atmosphere, watching, waiting. For a moment, it seemed like the planet had won, but Alina knew better. The Council would not give up so easily. They wanted control of the ancient power that Earth had just uncovered, and they would stop at nothing to take it. In the meantime, the energy pulse from the ancient machines had triggered something far greater than anyone had anticipated. As Alina and her team watched the monitors, the hum of power in the Earth's core grew stronger. The surface of the planet seemed to pulse with life, like it was awakening from a long dormant slumber. The air felt charged with an energy that none of them could explain. "Alina, we need to prepare. This power, "It's reacting to something," said Dr. Xavier, the lead scientist working with Elena. He was a tall, older man, his face worn from years of research, but his eyes were sharp and filled with urgency. Elena nodded, her gaze never leaving the screen as it displayed the strange, swirling energy patterns now appearing over Earth's major cities. The Council didn't just awaken a weapon. They've unleashed something far bigger. As the hours passed, the Earth's energy continued to grow, an invisible force growing stronger with each passing minute. The ancient machines, once thought to be nothing more than relics, were now waking up on their own, as if they were being drawn toward some unknown purpose. The power was emanating from all over the planet, but most of it seemed to be concentrated at one location, the deepest, most hidden part of the Earth's surface, where the ancient power had originally been discovered. Elena had no idea why this particular spot was important, but something told her that whatever lay beneath that spot was the key to everything. Elena turned to Dr. Xavier, her mind racing. "We need to get to that site now. If the Council has already seen what we've unleashed, they're going to be coming back. And this time, they won't hesitate." "I agree," Dr. Xavier replied. "But we don't know what's down there. We've barely scratched the surface of this technology. Whatever it is, it's far older than anything we've ever seen. We could be opening a door to a force we can't control." Despite his words, Elena felt a growing sense of urgency. They had no choice. The Council was already regrouping, preparing for their next strike. And if Earth's hidden power could turn the tide in their favor, they had to understand it before it was too late. The team quickly mobilized, heading toward the site where the power had first been activated. The journey was perilous, as they had to navigate through uncharted territories, some of which were now completely unstable due to the energy surges. But Elena and her team pressed forward. They had come this far, and they couldn't turn back now. As they arrived at the site, they found the area encased in a massive, glowing barrier of energy. The pulse that had surged from Earth's core had formed a shield around the location, as if protecting it. Elena approached the barrier cautiously, feeling the power radiating from it. She could sense that whatever lay beyond was both magnificent and terrifying. "It's alive," Dr. Xavier whispered, his voice full of awe. This isn't just technology. It's like a living organism, reacting to us." Elena didn't respond immediately, her focus fixed on the barrier. She extended her hand, feeling the energy pulsing beneath her fingers. It was warm, almost alive in its movement, and yet it felt like it was guiding her, pulling her in. Then, without warning, the barrier began to shimmer. A low hum filled the air as the energy responded to her presence. Elena felt her heart race, and the ground beneath her feet began to shake. Something was about to happen. Suddenly, the barrier split, as if some ancient mechanism was unlocking. The team gasped as the pathway ahead was revealed, leading down into the depths of the Earth. "Stay alert," Elena warned, her voice low. "We don't know what we're about to uncover." As they descended deeper into the heart of the planet, they encountered more strange structures, machines, artifacts, and symbols none of them could recognize. It was like stepping into the forgotten past of an ancient, unknown civilization. But as they ventured further, they began to realize that this wasn't just an old power, it was Earth's power. The walls of the tunnel were covered in intricate carvings that seemed to tell a story of a race far older than humanity, one that had built the machines they had only just begun to understand. But what was the purpose of this technology? Why had it been hidden for so long? At the deepest part of the site, Elena found a massive chamber. In the center of the room stood a towering structure, a machine, pulsing with energy. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, its shape shifting and changing as if it were alive. "Elena, this is it," Dr. Xavier said, his voice trembling. "This is the heart of the power." Elena stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the machine. This was it, the key to everything. Earth's oldest secret waiting to be unlocked. But before she could move any closer, A voice echoed through the chamber, filling the room with a deep, resonant tone. "Welcome, humanity. You have awakened me." Alina froze. The voice wasn't coming from any person. It was coming from the machine, from the very power that had been buried beneath the earth for eons. The voice continued, its tone heavy with ancient knowledge. "You are the inheritors of this power, but whether you control it, or it controls you, is yet to be determined." The weight of the words hung in the air. Alina realized that this was no ordinary machine. It was a living, sentient force, one that had been waiting for humanity to discover it. And now, the real test was about to begin. Would Earth's newfound power be a blessing, or would it be humanity's undoing? The council was coming. The battle for control of the ancient power had only just begun. The once quiet Earth was now alive with chaos and anticipation. Alina and her team had barely begun to process the ancient machine's cryptic message when the warning systems across the globe began blaring. The Galactic Council had made its move. Their massive fleet was now descending upon Earth, moving faster than anyone had expected. The glowing barrier that had protected the site where the ancient power rested began to flicker and pulse, as if it too sensed the approaching threat. The air crackled with energy, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Alina's mind raced. This was no longer just about uncovering Earth's lost secrets. It was a fight for survival. "Alina, we need to act fast." Dr. Xavier's voice broke through her thoughts. He stood next to her, his face pale as the reality of their situation settled in. "The Council is coming for this power, and they won't stop until they have it." Alina nodded, her heart pounding. The Earth had always been a peaceful planet, isolated in its corner of the galaxy, but now the world was caught in the middle of an intergalactic conflict, and Earth was the prize. The ancient machines they had discovered were the key to unimaginable power, and the Council would do anything to control it. As the fleet grew closer, Alina and her team quickly retreated to their command center, a high-tech facility designed to respond to extraterrestrial threats. They had no choice but to prepare for the worst. The machine had already warned them that Earth's destiny was in their hands, and they couldn't afford to fail. In the command center, Alina's mind raced with possibilities. They had a weapon, but how could they use it? The power of the ancient machine had begun to hum and vibrate with an otherworldly force, but it was still unclear how to control it. "I've never seen anything like this before," Dr. Xavier said, his voice tinged with awe and fear. "This isn't just a weapon, it's a living thing. It's communicating with us, but it's doing so in a way that we can't fully comprehend." Alina clenched her fists, frustration building. Time was running out. The Council would be here soon, and they would do anything to seize control of this ancient power. She had no choice but to trust that the machine was speaking to them for a reason, that it had chosen humanity to wield its power. "Any idea how to use this power?" Alina asked, turning to the rest of the team. Dr. Xavier hesitated for a moment, staring at the machine's energy readings. I think it wants us to prove ourselves," he said slowly. "It's not just about power. It's about how we choose to wield it." Alina understood. The machine wasn't just offering them a weapon, it was offering them a choice. The fate of Earth, the fate of the entire galaxy, depended on humanity's ability to control this power. They couldn't afford to make a mistake. Suddenly, the air in the command center grew still, and the massive screen before them flickered to life. A transmission came through, a dark figure appearing on the screen. It was the leader of the Galactic Council, a powerful and calculating alien known as Varric. "Alina, you and your pathetic species have stumbled upon something far beyond your comprehension." Varric's voice echoed, cold and menacing. "The power you have unearthed belongs to us, and we will take it by force if necessary." Alina's jaw tightened as she looked at the screen. Varric's words were clear. They would stop at nothing to take control of the power that now resided on Earth. "I don't think you understand, Varric," Alina said, her voice steady but full of resolve. This power doesn't belong to the Council. It belongs to humanity. We're not your slaves, and we're not going to bow to your will." Varric's eyes narrowed, his face twisted into a sneer. "We will see about that," he growled before the transmission ended abruptly. The room fell silent. Alina's team exchanged worried glances. The battle for Earth's ancient power was now inevitable. The Council would come in full force, and they wouldn't hesitate to destroy anything in their path to seize it. But Alina's resolve was unwavering. She knew that humanity had something the Council didn't, something the ancient power had sensed from the moment they uncovered it: the will to survive. As she looked out the window, the sky was filled with the ominous silhouettes of the Council's fleet, their ships blocking out the sun. The final showdown was about to begin. "Prepare for battle," Alina ordered, her voice firm. "We're not giving up this power without a fight." The team quickly mobilized, gathering the necessary resources and coordinating with the planet's defense systems. They had no idea what to expect, but one thing was certain: humanity would not back down. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, the ancient power continued to hum with energy, as if waiting for its moment to act. Alina had no idea how the machine would respond, but she knew one thing for sure: it had chosen humanity. Now, it was time to see if they were worthy of its gift. The countdown had begun. The fate of Earth and its people rested in their hands. As the Galactic Council's fleet drew closer, Earth's ancient power stirred. The battle for control was just beginning, and humanity's greatest test had arrived. The tension in the air was palpable. The Galactic Council's fleet, now hovering above the Earth, loomed like a shadow over the planet. Alina and her team stood in their command center, eyes glued to the monitors, waiting for any sign of what would happen next. The power from the ancient machine that had been dormant for eons was now awakening, and humanity's survival rested on the edge of a knife. "Alina," Dr. Xavier said, his voice trembling with urgency, "I think it's time. The machine is responding. The energy levels are through the roof." Alina's heart skipped a beat. The ancient power, was it finally ready to fight back? On the massive screen, a swirling vortex of energy appeared above the machine. A soft hum, almost like a heartbeat, echoed throughout the room. The walls vibrated with the raw force emanating from the ancient device, and Alina could feel the power resonating in her bones. She glanced at the others. Fear was written on their faces, but also determination. "It's alive," Alina whispered. "The machine is alive, and it's choosing us." Dr. Xavier's eyes widened. "I've never seen anything like this. The power, it's not just technology. It's conscious." The moment they had feared and hoped for had arrived. The Galactic Council's fleet, intent on seizing the power, had underestimated humanity's resolve. They thought they could control it. They thought Earth was just a primitive world, incapable of harnessing such forces. They were wrong. The first wave of Council ships began to descend, their weapons primed for destruction. The city below was preparing for the worst, but Alina knew that the battle wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about more than that. "Activate the power," Alina ordered, her voice firm despite the storm of emotions raging inside her. The room was quiet for a moment. Then the hum of the machine grew louder. The ground shook beneath them as the ancient device seemed to respond to Alina's command. With a sudden burst of light, energy shot upward, piercing the sky. A massive beam of concentrated power blasted into space, striking one of the Galactic Council's ships directly. The ship exploded in a blinding flash of light, breaking apart in an instant. The shockwave rippled through the fleet, knocking several ships off course. The Council's first strike had been repelled, but there was no time to celebrate. This was just the beginning. "Did we just do that?" Dr. Xavier's voice was filled with disbelief. "Yes," Alina said, her eyes locked on the screen. "We've awakened something far beyond our understanding. And now, the Council knows they've underestimated us." As the beam of energy continued to pulse, more ships from the Galactic Council started to advance. The Council was not easily deterred, and they sent wave after wave of ships to bombard Earth's defenses. However, with each attack, the ancient power reacted, sending waves of energy in retaliation. It was as if the Earth itself was fighting back. The cities below, once peaceful and quiet, were now alive with the power of the ancients. The ground trembled as the first of the larger council ships attempted to land. The ancient device's energy amplified with every attack, creating a force field around Earth that became impenetrable. Elena, this is incredible. The power, it's evolving. It's adapting to every move the council makes, Dr. Xavier exclaimed. But Elena was not celebrating. She could feel the weight of what they were doing. The power they were wielding was not just destructive, it was transformational. It had the potential to change everything. It was more than they could have ever imagined. As more ships were obliterated by the force field, the remaining ships of the Galactic Council began to retreat. They hadn't expected Earth to fight back like this. They hadn't expected the ancient power to respond so fiercely. But Elena knew this wasn't the end. The Council would not give up so easily. They would come back, and when they did, humanity had to be ready. She turned to her team, her face a mixture of exhaustion and resolve. We can't stop now. We have to make sure the power is secure before they regroup. This isn't over. Dr. Xavier nodded, his face set in determination. We've unlocked something far greater than we ever imagined, but we need to control it. We need to understand it before it's too late. As the first wave of the Council's retreating fleet disappeared into the depths of space, Elena watched the skies above. The battle had only just begun. The Council would return. But now, humanity held the power to fight back. And they were ready. The ancient power had chosen Earth. It had chosen humanity. And now, with every pulse of energy, it was clear their victory would be far from easy, but they had the power to shape their own fate. The countdown had begun, and the true test of humanity's strength had only just started. The fate of Earth and the galaxy was now in their hands. The calm after the storm was only temporary. The Galactic Council had retreated, but Elena knew it wasn't over. The peace was fragile, and their enemies were not easily defeated. Earth had just awakened the ancient power, but what came next could either destroy them or secure their place in the galaxy forever. Elena stood in the command center, looking at the holographic map of the solar system. Ships from the Galactic Council had scattered, but their defeat had only bought Earth time. It wasn't a victory, it was a warning. We need to prepare, Dr. Xavier said, his voice filled with urgency. The Council will be back in full force. This time, they won't make the same mistake. Elena nodded, her mind racing. The power of the ancient machine was on their side, but she had learned in the last few hours that such immense power came with consequences. They had barely scratched the surface of what the machine was capable of, and they couldn't control it entirely yet. But they didn't have the luxury of time. We need to take the fight to them, Elena said, her voice steady despite the storm of thoughts in her head. We can't just sit back and wait for them to regroup. The ancient power will protect us, but we must be proactive. We need to strike first. Dr. Xavier looked at her with concern. You're talking about risking everything. We don't fully understand the power we're dealing with. What if it turns on us? Elena's eyes were fierce. It won't turn on us. We're the chosen ones. Humanity wasn't meant to sit back and watch. We were meant to lead. The power we've unlocked is ours to wield. It will listen to us. The room fell silent as the weight of her words settled on everyone. They were about to embark on a mission that could change the fate of the entire galaxy. The risk was enormous, but the reward was even greater. Humanity had been underestimated for far too long. It was time to prove that they were more than just survivors. They were conquerors. The fleet of Earth's ships, led by the remnants of the ancient machine's power, began to form up. Elena could see the resolve in her crew's eyes. This was no longer just a fight for Earth. It was a fight for the future of every living being in the galaxy. In the distance, the stars shimmered like a field of diamonds, but Alina's gaze was fixed on the path ahead. The Galactic Council was regrouping, and they would be back in full force, ready to reclaim their dominance. But Alina knew that this time, Earth was ready. Humanity had tapped into the ancient power, and it was more than enough to shake the galaxy. The fleet prepared to jump into hyperspace, the final confrontation waiting beyond the veil of stars. As Alina looked out the window of the command center, she saw the stars ahead like the endless horizon, filled with possibilities and dangers. But there was no turning back now. The battle would decide everything. "We've trained for this," Alina said to herself. "We've fought for this. And now, we'll take the fight to them." The fleet surged forward, and with the hum of the ancient machine at their backs, humanity launched into the unknown. The Galactic Council thought they could crush Earth. They thought humanity was just a young, untested species, but they were wrong. Humanity was ancient, and they had awakened a power older than the stars themselves. As the ships traveled into hyperspace, Alina felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She wasn't just fighting for Earth anymore. She was fighting for the future of the galaxy, for the right to stand as equals among the stars. And this time, when the Council came to destroy them, they would be met with the full fury of the power humanity had unleashed. The final confrontation was coming. And this time, humanity would not back down.